Hello everyone, welcome back once again to the online biology classes for HS first year by Sukanya Roy. So, with this lecture, we will try to wind up with this chapter, and this is the last lecture, after which we will be completing the chapter Animal Kingdom. So, let's just take a look at the remaining topics. So, in the last class, we have started with the phylum Chordata, and in this class also we will be continuing with the remaining topics of the different classes under the phylum Chordata. So we had already observed that the phylum Chordata can be divided into three subphyla: Urochordata or Tunicata, Cephalochordata, and Vertebrata. So in our last lecture only we had started with the subphylum Vertebrata, and in this lecture also we will be continuing with this subphylum, that is Vertebrata. So the let us just take a revision at the different divisions under the subphylum Vertebrata. So Vertebrata can be divided into two groups: Agnatha and Gnathostomata. We had already seen, right? So Agnatha, under Agnatha, the animals which lacks jaw are actually present, while the animals which bears jaw comes under Gnathostomata. So in our last lecture we had completed the first superclass under Gnathostomata, that is species. The group Gnathostomata can be divided in turn into two superclasses, species and Tetrapoda. The first one, that is species, we have already dealt with it in the last lecture. In this lecture, we will be dealing with the entire superclass Tetrapoda. Okay, so it means that tetra means four and poda means limbs or appendages. Okay, so the animals which actually bear four legs are placed under the superclass Tetrapoda. So this superclass Tetrapoda is again subdivided into four classes. The first one is Amphibia, second is Reptilia, third one is Aves, and fourth one is Mammals. So let's discuss about all the four classes of Amphibia, Reptilia, Aves, and Mammals. Okay. Superclass Tetrapoda. So the first class which comes under the superclass Tetrapoda is the class Amphibia. So this class includes those animals which generally can live in both the water and the land. That is, amphibians can live in both the aquatic as well as the terrestrial habitats. Okay. Then most of the amphibians have two pairs of limbs. So two pairs of limbs means four limbs, right? Four number of limbs. Out of this, the anterior two limbs, that is this one and this one, are termed as the forelimbs, that is FORELIMBS. Forelimbs, that is the anterior limbs, and this one and this one, these two are the hind limbs or the posterior limbs. That means in total the amphibian has 1, 2, 3, 4. Four number of limbs. Clear? That is two pairs of limbs. Most of them have two pairs of limbs. Clear? Next, the amphibian skin is moist. Their skin is actually moist, okay, and rough. That is, it consists of some moisture, okay, and they are generally without scales. That means their skin generally lacks scales. You can see there is no scale in their skin, unlike those in the class osteichthysis, we had seen that the fishes generally have, most of the fishes generally have scales, right? But unlike them, the class amphibians don't have any scales in their body. Next, respiration is by either gills or lungs or skin, even because as their skin is very much moist, so it helps actually in the exchange of the uh, gases. Okay, and also they can respire through gills, that is the aquatic ones can respire through gills, while they can respire through lungs as well when they are in land. Clear? Next, the heart of the amphibians is three chambered, having two auricles and one ventricle. And these animals are cold blooded animals, that is, they are not able to maintain a constant temperature, and their body temperature fluctuates very much uh, along with the fluctuation of the external environment. Okay, there is the temperature of the external environment. Clear now? So these are also termed as poikilotherms or cold-blooded animals. Next, here the sexes are separate, that is the males and female individuals are separate, and the fertilization is external. That is, here what happens generally, the males and the females releases their gametes outside the body, and the fertilization, that is the fusion of the male and female gametes, actually takes place in the water outside the body, and so the fertilization is of external type. Clear? Next, let us have a look at the important examples of the class amphibia. So here you can see that these names which are written in italics, they are the scientific names, and these are the ones, that is those names which are written within the brackets, these are the ones, are the common names of the same individuals, right? So I hope all of you know how to write the scientific names. So scientific names are generally written like in while we are typing, then we have to write the scientific names in italics. Okay, but while we are writing in our copy, then we will have to write them the scientific names and underline them, as while writing in the copy it's not possible for us to change our handwriting and write it in italics, right? As a result, we will have to write the scientific names and underline them. Okay, and the scientific names actually consist of two parts: genus name and species name, right? So the genus name always starts with capital letter, and if the species name is written, then it is like it starts with small letter. Clear now? Just try to remember this. So let us take the examples of common examples of animals which comes under the class amphibia. First one is bufo. It is the scientific name for the toad. So here is the picture of a toad. This is a toad. Okay, next we will take a picture of a tree frog. This frog is termed as a tree frog, and its scientific name is Hyla. Okay, next we will take an example of a salamander, and its scientific name is Salamandra. Okay, so these are the common examples of the class amphibia. Now let's move to the second class under the superclass Tetrapoda, and the class is named as Reptilia. So this class Reptilia actually consists of the important animals which generally move by crawling, okay, from one place to the other. So I hope you have seen the movement of this reptiles, there is the snakes or the lizards or the crocodile, they actually drag themselves, okay, in the ground or water, whatever, and they try to always creep or crawl while their movement. Okay, so that's why the name actually reptilia have come from there. The class name actually refers to their creeping or crawling mode of locomotion, and the animals under the class reptilia can be, means like some animals are aquatic while most of the animals are terrestrial. Okay, that is, some animals under the class reptilia lives in water, while maximum of them lives on land. Then the limbs when present are of two pairs. In all the reptiles, actually the limbs or the appendages are not present. Okay, for example, the snakes lack the limbs, right? So is there any leg in the snakes? No. That means the snakes lack the limbs, while the other reptiles generally do have two pairs of limbs. You can see two pairs of limbs means four limbs. Okay, so four number of limbs. Next, heart is usually three chambered. In the last class amphibia also we have seen that the animals under the class amphibia also had three chambered heart. Similarly, in case of the animals under the class reptilia, they are also having a three chambered heart. But the crocodiles, which are also example of animals under the class reptilia, they are having four chambered heart. That is, the crocodiles are a bit advanced among all the other reptiles present in this, means under the class reptilia. As a result, they have a four chambered heart, that is two auricles with two ventricles. Clear now? And the four chambered heart actually is present in the most advanced group of animals, that is, afterwards we will study about the class aves and the class mammalia. There also you will see that the animals are having four chambered heart. So the like evolution or the development or the advancement in the constitution of the heart can already been noticed, right? In the fishes we have seen that they were having a two chambered heart. In the class amphibia we have seen that they are having a three chambered heart. In the class reptilia we have seen that most of them are having a three chambered heart, while only crocodiles do have a four chambered heart, while in case of the aves and mammals they are having a four chambered heart. Clear? Next, the reptiles are also cold blooded animals, that is, they are also poikilotherms and they cannot maintain a constant body temperature. Clear? And the snakes and lizards generally show a very important characteristic. They generally shed their scales as skin cast, that is, the skin, their skin, that is the exoskeleton is generally cast off quite often. Okay, and they shed their scales. Their entire body is actually like their skin is actually very dry and it is full of scales, that is, it is dry and scaly, and the scales are generally cast off, means like shed and cast off quite often. Okay, next, here also the sexes are separate, the males and female individuals are separate, right? And the fertilization here is generally internal. Okay, that is, the fusion of male and female gametes takes place within the body of the animals. Clear now? Okay, so let us now take some important examples of the animals under the class reptilia. So you can see some important examples are given. This is a picture of a crocodile. Okay, this one is a picture of a turtle, which is a marine animal. Okay, which also comes under the class reptilia. And this is the picture of, all of you know what is it? It is a snake. So these are the common examples of animals under the class reptilia. Let us now move to the next class, that is the third class, aves, under the superclass Tetrapoda. So this class aves actually consists of the different types of birds present on the entire planet. That means all the birds present on our earth actually belongs to the class aves. Clear? Now see the important characteristics. The characteristic features of aves are the presence of feathers, and most of them can fly. So all of us know this, right? The birds can fly, okay? And like most of the birds can actually fly, except some birds, some heavyweight birds, for example ostrich, which are not able to fly. So like biology is a science of exception, so each and everywhere you will find some exceptions are there, right? So here also in the class A's, most of them can fly, but some exceptions are there, for example ostrich. So do remember the name. These birds are so heavy that they are not able to fly. Okay. Next important characteristic of birds include they possess beak. So all of you have seen, right, what is beak? So these are the beaks. These are the beaks which are a characteristic feature for the birds. Clear? Next, the forelimbs are modified into wings. This forelimbs means the anterior limbs, right? So these limbs are actually modified into wings with the help of which actually they fly. So here, like the class Aves also belongs to the superclass Tetrapoda, right? So technically they are having four limbs, four number of limbs, right? Out of this, the anterior two are the forelimbs, FORE forelimbs, and the posterior two are the hind limbs. So in the case of the birds or the class Aves, the first two limbs, that is the forelimbs, are modified into wings, while the hind limbs are it's like remain as legs only, and they are modified for different types of like works, that is for walking or swimming or clasping the tree branches. Next, their skeleton, the endoskeleton, is completely made up of bones, that is it is completely ossified. Okay. And the long bones which are present in the birds are actually hollow with air cavities inside. So such type of bones are termed as pneumatic bones. Clear? So can anyone, like, do you have any idea why their long bones are actually hollow, filled up with air? Because it actually helps the birds to make their body weight less, as a result of which they can fly easily. Because the more heavy the birds are, the more problem they will have in flying, right? So जितना light इनका body होगा, उतना ही easily the birds will be able to fly. So इसीलिए इनका जो bones होते हैं, bones के अंदर means the bones are actually hollow, उनमें air cavities होते हैं, जिसके वजह से their body weight actually is reduced, and hence they can easily fly. And just try to remember, such type of hollow bones are termed as pneumatic bones. Clear? They're termed as pneumatic bones. Next, heart is completely four chambered. Okay. So as I have already discussed earlier, the heart is four chambered. They are warm blooded animals. Okay. So warm blooded animals means they are homeothermic animals, and they are able to maintain a constant body temperature. इसका मतलब इनका बॉडी का जो टेम्परेचर है वो फ्लक्चुएट नहीं होता along with the environmental temperature, and the birds can maintain a constant body temperature. So your homework, you can, as your homework you can write what are pneumatic bones. Okay. And in which class we find such type of bones. Write in your copy and uh, submit. Okay. Let us now have some important examples and common examples of the class Aves. So all of you know this. You have seen the birds, different types of birds, right? So this one is a image of a pigeon, peacock, parrot, right? So and many more birds are there. I have just given some common examples. Okay. Let's now move to the next and the last class, that is Mammalia under the superclass Tetrapoda. So this is the last and the most advanced group of animals on the entire planet. All of we know that mammals are the most evolved animals in the entire planet. And let us now have a look at the unique and characteristic features of mammals. So the very first one is that the most unique mammalian characteristic is the presence of milk producing glands termed as mammary glands. So these are those glands which are present in the mammals which help in the production of milk, and with the help of this type of glands the mammals are able to feed their young ones. Okay, just after the birth. So it's a unique character of the mammals. This character is not present in any other animals present on the earth. Okay, only the mammals will have the mammary glands with the help of which they feed feed up their young ones. Clear? Next, they also have two pairs of limbs, that is four number of limbs, and which is adapted for either walking or running or climbing or anything. The actually based on the habitat of a particular mammal, the limbs are modified. Either the animals will walk or swim or they will run. Whatever they will do, based on that, their limbs are modified or adapted. Clear? Next, the skin of the mammals is unique in possessing hair. Now, no other animals is having hair on their body, but the mammals do have hair, and this characteristic is also a very unique character of the mammals which is not present in any other uh, group of animals present on our planet. So the next is external ears or pinnae are present. Now this is also a important characteristic which is not present in any of the other group of animals. So your second homework is to write about the three most unique mammalian characteristics, okay, which is not found in any other group of animals. Okay, the next point is heart is four chambered like the animals under the class aves. There also we have seen that the birds were having a four chambered heart. Here also it is seen that the heart is four chambered in case of the mammals, and they are also warm blooded or homeothermous. That means they can also maintain a constant body temperature, and their body temperature fluctuate नहीं होता along with the environmental changing temperature. Clear? And generally respiration here in case of the mammals is by the help of lungs. So these are the important characteristics of the class Mammalia. Now let us have a look at some of the important examples. All of us know that tiger, lion, elephant, rabbit, monkey, even the human beings like us, we are also included under the class mammals. And these are the some of the important pictures of the examples. So that's all for this chapter. We have studied the entire chapter of animal kingdom. Okay, and try to follow all the lectures properly to understand the chapter more clearly. And thank you once again to each and everyone for following my classes, and stay tuned, study well, and do subscribe to my channel for the upcoming classes. Thanks a lot once again. Bye bye.